This is my color study, which I used kind of an Art Nouveau palette, kind of the paler pastels, which are actually from the Art Nouveau set that Kuretake has, but I'm just going to use the palette that I tend to use. For the yellow, so the yellow doesn't just disappear. Sap green for the shrubberies, Venetian red for the brown bits, and potentially yellow ochre for the trim. I'm going to use the Venetian red for all of the roof tiles as well. And then there's a little bit of red down here, which I'll grab a red from my stock, maybe Rose Madder Deep or something. That's what I tend to use for bricks. So let's jump in. We'll start with the sky. Running really low on ultramarine pale. I think I've got another one of these kicking around somewhere. So if you've watched other videos, you'll notice that this one, my lines are much thicker. This is a more recent sketch that I did entirely in Procreate, and I've adjusted my brush size so that I get better lines. Found that with little tiny lines I get a lot of smudging. There's just not enough separation. And smudging isn't good. Partly because my engravings on these aren't as deep as if I were doing it with an X-Acto knife or something. And the grain on this birch tends to cause the paint to run a bit if there's a bit of water, and you can see this is going on kind of wet. There's not a lot of coverage, so it may be a little splotchy. Oh, it would help if I had a postcard ready to go. Fortunately, I have one handy. I'm going to need to wing this because I haven't taped it on yet. I'm going to say that is where we're going to print. So step one would normally be to tape down the postcard. Oops, let me find some tape. This is just Scotch 3M pink delicate surface painter's tape, which still tears off the paper. I've been experimenting a bit, and if you use heat to remove the tape at the end, actually use heat to release some of the adhesive, that helps. Now you'll notice here, this is freshly engraved off the laser. There's a lot of char. It's okay. The first one always has a bit of char, so you can see I'm getting a lot of grain on this. I don't know if it's the humidity or what, but the wood seems to have a bit of a raised grain. And you can always sand the block. I'm I'm not big on sanding, so that just hasn't happened. So I'm just going to work. I'm going to do the top, I think. I'll kind of go color by color. I'm going to make the windows blue. I like the windows to reflect the sky. So you may be wondering, is this an actual building? Well, indeed it is. It's another one that I ride by quite often on my bicycle around town. I've named this Shed with Cupola for the lack of a better descriptor, until I find Shed with Cupola number 2. This it's just a little shed right on the side of the road. Been there for a long, long time. I'm gonna jump into the greens here. Excuse me, sorry about that. We might hear some banging, banging in the background because I'm doing some construction upstairs. I tried to pick a time when there'll be less banging. I thought they'd be at lunch. It's a beautiful day today, nice and sunny but cold. We're finally getting into the fall temperatures. It's about 40 degrees outside. Although it's been, up and down, up and down. You never quite know what to wear. It'll be 70 one day and then 40 the next. Which is why my voice is all gravelly. I keep getting colds because the weather's been so all over the place. Need to use more paint, Rick. No, it's just the wood is really just sucking this one down. One of the recent ones that I did, which one was it? Oh, the Black Eyed Susans. I had a horrible time with the grain on that one. My lines are really fine, and the grain was really raised, so my lines were not sharp at all. It's a very fuzzy looking print. But I'm just getting caught up to the more recent plates that I've done in Procreate. I think these sketches work much better. If you watch the tulips video, that's one of the fastest ones, I think, that I painted. Only took me like 25 minutes, maybe 30. Okay, I might be underestimating that. Yeah, you can see it's just, this is going to be a 2-coat print. That's one of the nice things about these, is you can do 2 coats. You'll notice too, the ones that I do without me chattering like this, I do, I let each layer dry and then come back to it. Whereas with this one, I'm just going to try to get through the whole thing in one sitting. You can see there this little bit, the grain is really pulling the paint. So the wood I've been using is this birch from Woodpeckers that I bought online. It's good because it's flat and it's relatively consistent, and it seems smooth to the touch. I mean, there's a little bit of roughness there, but as you can see, it's it's not the greatest. I'm getting the very pastel-y colors that I was hoping for. Let's see, we'll go up and I'll do brown. I'm actually using Venetian red for this. I kind of like the red in this rather than the red in the burnt umber. Good for trees. A little more water there. I think I will pause after the brown. Dum-dum. More brown. So I was going to do all of the roof tiles in this as well to kind of imply the wood shingled roofs, which we have quite a lot of, which I've often found is kind of strange. Because none of them are original at this point, I don't think. They've all been replaced so many times. I always assumed they were a bit of a fire hazard. I think of, excuse me, I think of them as kind of like copper downspouts on houses. It's just a bit of frippery. Copper downspouts, cobblestones, and wood shingled roofs. Wood shingled roofs were common here in the day, but so were petticoats and horse-drawn carriages. And we don't have any of those anymore. I'm going to give this a little more. Apologize for the extremely wobbly table. Haven't found a good solution for it yet. When I do, you'll be the first to know. Now this isn't a... I'm going to try something here that I haven't done before, which is just to apply my paints directly over engraved lines, rather than trying to paint every single one of these little tiles. Because I want to see what happens. My hope is that some of the lines will come through, but most of them won't. It'll be a little surprise for both of us. Dum-da-dum-dum. All right, moment of truth here. Let's see what happens. Yay, it did it. Much better than I expected, too. So that does work. What color should I do next? Should I do the trim? I was thinking of making the trim ochre and the house yellow. Let's do it. Yellow, ochre, and yellow. So, trim. Going for the historic-y color palette. I see a lot of yellow ochre on municipal buildings. I think when they were doing a color analysis for the town hall restoration, they discovered yellow ochre everywhere. So you see that, and a lot of kind of sap green colors in the old houses. Oops. I have a second camera running and it just freaked out. Just shut off for no particular reason. And it did it again. That's my old Canon. No, it's not a Canon. It's a... I was thinking of my old power shot from when I was a kid. It's It's not that. It is a Panasonic Lumix G7, circa 2018 maybe. I think it was new to me during the pandemic. And it has really nice video quality, but it's kind of a pain to use. But this is an art channel, not a vent about tech that doesn't work channel. So now I'm going to go in and do the house. I said I was going to stop after the brown, didn't I? Oh, I don't know if I'm going to like this. That's okay. Let's see what this looks like. I think I went a little crazy with the ochre. Ew. So yeah, I think this should have been yellow too. So maybe I'll come back and make that yellow later. Because this isn't trim, but I was chittering. I was chattering away. So we're going to go and zip through this and do some cerulean. Because this is going to need, this whole print needs another coat. So you're going to do trim. You can see how watery. Cerulean really comes out of the pan really watery. So I'm just gonna do this twice, I think, right now. Go back and give it a little more juice here. Let's see what we got from that. Yeah, not great. I'll just keep going. Persevere, persevere. This was not a good choice of color. I mean, the color is lovely. It's the paint, this particular paint. really, it's good for water. It's good for doing the ocean. It's not great for this. Let's see what happened. Yeah. Yeah. Trudge along. Do the cupola. Brush is blue. I'm just going to do this here since I totally missed it. And see, that came out much better. So, and as did the cupola up there. I was torn between gray, blue, or gray, and I'm going to go with this gray blue just because I don't use it much. It's actually kind of a pretty color. But I'm not sure how clashy these two blues will be. This is one of those situations where I would have rather had the same color just in two values. But I'm trying to stick, yeah, see, that's kind of muddy. I'm trying to stick with the Kuretake color schemes. Now notice how much thicker this paint is, this particular color. So you do get a lot of variation. I think it must just depend on what the pigments are. I think this gray blue has a lot of white in it, so it makes it a lot more opaque. Looking at my color chart. Yeah, my color chart doesn't have the pigments. I have that somewhere else around here. So people often describe these paints, these Kuretake paints, as creamy. That cerulean blue, that cerulean blue is not creamy. It's about as far from creamy as you can get. It falls in the watery category. I'm thinking I might even pick a completely different color and go back and do the trim a different color. though I'm not sure what color that would be. Maybe I'll make the trim yellow. Oh. Would that be horrible? Not necessarily. That was actually something that was really common in period homes. By period homes, I mean late 19th century. They would paint the main house, you know, with a trim and a body color, and then they would paint the outbuildings in the reverse. So if the house was yellow, the trim on the shed would be yellow, and vice versa. See how nice and smoothly this goes on? If this were like house paint, they'd say that it goes on evenly, has good coverage. And then there's a little more of this up in the lamp. Honestly, this could probably be yellow. Might make more sense. But I don't think it's actually a lamp. I think it's just a little wooden cupola. There. So that's kind of first draft of this. I'm going to grab a little bit of rose madder deep and do these tiny little bricks. Oh goodness, that's too much. All right, we're going to end up with a great little puddle of red down here. Let's see what happens. It might just be a blob. Oh, look, it actually came out as little bricks. So that is the first draft. I'm going to do this again. I'm going to come back and let this dry. I'm going to let this dry, and I'm going to come back and give it another go on the same print and see what we can get. For a while, and we'll go back with, I think we'll just start with the blue, the ultramarine pale. Ah, that's better. Yeah, it actually looks better on camera than it does in person as well. So if you're wondering why is he going on about this, it's because it looks a lot worse in person. And that is one of the nice things about Kuretake paints, is they're very photogenic. I think it's because they're so solid, they're so opaque, they reflect a lot of light. So you end up with a nice color on camera. That's better. Do the same on the windows. So I have tried in the past to do like a primer coat underneath, to just kind of paint the whole block out before, so paint out the whole block and then let it dry and then come back and paint it to do the print. And that has worked really well. But then you don't get to see the nice kind of transformation. You just kind of see the block get painted. It rather ruins the surprise. Yeah, that's much better, having those solid colors. We're going to go in with the green. This is sap green again, number 53. It's odd because this was a color I didn't really like when I started using it, but it's grown on me. I'm not quite sure why I didn't like it. All right, I need to print this or it's going to dry up again. Hurry up, hurry up. Better, but still, you see, I'm picking up a lot of green. A lot of wood grain in this. I'm just going to go down and do a wash along here. Nothing too heavy. And not too precise. Just want to fill in some gaps. It's hard to do this edge on these because I tape them down, so I get a lot of extra friction when I rub on top of the tape. But you can see that helps a lot just to darken it up. And you can see when I apply this paint, it's still really spreading right into the grain. This is the yellow ochre trim. The only downside to doing this a second time like this is sometimes the registration can get thrown off because the paper will absorb a lot of water, and then it changes size a little bit, or it bends a little bit, so the registration can shift, and then you get kind of blurry lines. That's one of the downsides of this as a technique. It's usually fine. At least at this scale. You know, I don't know how folks who work at a larger scale manage that registration. I think it would drive me batty. It's a little bit better, but still. I'm missing a chunk right there. Sometimes the wood just ignores the paint. That's better. Now we have a continuous cornice there. On to some blue. Let's start with the inside bit. And this is the gray blue. I'm going to let those little in-between bits do their own thing, stay as they are, and just do the larger boards. Let's see, you can see I still not as sharp as it could possibly be. Since I'm almost done with my set of postcards for the calendar, there's this one and there's this card, and then there's one more building. I'm going to start fiddling around with using different paper instead of just my postcards. just because I want to try some different papers. I've had some beautiful results using paper like Arches in the past. Oh, look, I blurred right over there. I didn't even see that coming. That's unfortunate. And that blurring happens when there's too much water in the paint. And I put too much paint down and it just smudges. It just gets flattened out when you rub it. It's kind of a blowout. So I wanted to go back and try some Arches paper, some of that 100% cotton, and I have had in my shopping cart the 100% cotton postcards from Etcher, I think it is. They're the only ones who actually make 100% cotton hot press, which I think would be really, really good for this. Probably much better than this paper. So if you've been following along, you know that I've been using this paper really just as an experiment. I wanted to see how Japanese paper with Japanese paints and Japanese brushes and Japanese-inspired technique, block printing. I wanted to see how it would all kind of come together. And I would say it's okay, but it's not quite what I was hoping for. Although I did learn at the demo of Provincetown printers that the Japanese papers that are used by people like Bill Eval are heavier than this, I believe, and heavier than, like, this is Hosho paper, but it's really, really thin. It comes in, like everything, you know, a bunch of different weights. It's hard to figure out when people share part of the answer, but not the whole answer. Like, what's a good paper to print on? And you get a category of paper rather than a, here, go buy this specific thing. So, do some experimenting on my own. But I will continue to do stuff with these postcards because I just love making postcards. I think that's it for this guy. Like I said, it looks a lot better on camera than it does in person. Hopefully it'll photograph well. So this was the color study for it, and this is what I actually created. You can see it better if I compare them side by side like that, right? And sometimes the block looks better than the print. That's just part of this. I wanted to show you, I've talked about the calendar a bunch. This is a prototype for the calendar which is going to be a little 3-ringed bound book. So the front cover, it will open, I think it's going to be oriented this way. It will open like this, and you'll get January's art. So you'll get like a postcard, right? And you'll get an image on this side, calendar on this side. Same for February, March, and April, right? So art and then a calendar. Then when we get into the summertime, we'll get May will go this way. So there'll be a horizontal one and a calendar down here. June, July, August will be that way because there's a lot more going on, and I wanted to put some, since this is Provincetown Print, I wanted to put some stuff in the calendar about what's going on in Provincetown. And then when you get to September, you'll flip back to the vertical, the portrait orientation. For October, November, December, and then I thought I would, this was going to be the back, but I think I might put January in here too. Because I hate that when you don't have that first month of the next year. So that's the template, I think, for the calendar. So the reason I'm doing the 3-ring is so that you can hang it this way. You'll be able to put, I'll have a binder clip, so you'll clip it and hang it that way. Or when you get to months that are like this, you'll be able to hang it that way. So that's the idea. Whether it'll make it into execution or not, we'll see. That's all for this one. Thanks for joining me. If you made it this far, hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel to grow and to reach more people. That's it for now. I do this every Saturday, so I'll be back next week with another complete sketch to print. So see you then. Take care.